understood that many people have some troubles to understand the difference between era and è stato. Lui, lei, era, imperfetto of the verb essere, to be, lui è stato, lei è stata, passato prossimo of the verb essere, to be. Choosing between imperfetto and passato prossimo can be difficult because both of them describe something happened in the past. Now we're going to see many examples and try to clarify the single cases. Anyway, generally speaking, I think it would be helpful thinking in this way. The imperfetto describes something that was part of the past, a habit, something that the subject did on a regular basis, a characteristic of something or someone, or at least a situation that happened for quite a long time in the past. While the passato prossimo describes something more temporary and limited to a certain period, something that happened in a shorter period of time. This is a general rule that I think could help you, but let's see a lot of examples. Let's start with habits and not usual events. Do you remember what I've just said? Imperfetto for things that were integral part of the past. Da giovane andavo alla piscina del paese. This was a habit. I went to the pool regularly. Passato prossimo for the things that were not part of the past, but just of a defined period of time. Da giovane sono andato in piscina. That was not a habit. If you want to talk about habit, you say da giovane andavo in piscina. Da giovane sono andato in piscina is not a habit. It's something that happened in the past when I was young. Other example. Da piccolo facevo le capriole. Adesso non sono più capace. Da piccolo facevo le capriole. That was a habit, something that I did very often, quite often. But you can also say da piccolo facevo le capriole e anche adesso ogni tanto le faccio. It was a habit, but I didn't stop completely. Probably now it's not a habit anymore, but I still do it. Ok? So, da piccolo facevo le capriole e anche adesso ogni tanto le faccio. Or it can still be a habit. So, da piccolo facevo le capriole e continuo a farle tutti i giorni. Ok, a bit strange this example, but both these sentences are correct. Da piccolo facevo le capriole e continuo a farle tutti i giorni. That was a habit and it's still a habit. Passato prossimo. Da giovane ho preso tanti treni. That was not a habit. It happened probably in a certain period of my life when I went to high school, but it's not something that is integral part of my past. Da giovane ho preso tanti treni. If you want to talk about the habits, you should say da giovane prendevo tanti treni. Prendevo gives an idea of something that happened on a regular basis. Can you feel the difference? Don't worry, because these are language nuances and they need practice and time. So don't worry. Pay attention when you listen to these verbs, when you watch a movie, for example, when you read a book. Pay attention and try to understand why it has been used imperfetto or passato prossimo. Let's see two examples using the verb essere. Era uno studente brillante. He was always a brilliant student. Passato prossimo. È stato generoso a prestargli il libro. We're talking about something that happened just one time, not on a regular basis on the past. Talking about multiple events simultaneously. We use imperfetto when we are talking about events that happen in the same period of time. Noemi studiava veterinaria, nel frattempo lavorava in un negozio, prendeva ripetizioni di inglese e andava in palestra. Wonder Woman. All these things happened in the same period of time. She did all these things in the same period of time. We use passato prossimo if the events happen in succession, in different periods of time. A New York ho assaggiato la torta di mele, Ho visitato tanti musei e ho passeggiato a Central Park. We are not talking about habits, and these things happen in different moments. Repeated action / single action or defined moments. We use imperfetto for repeated actions. Tutte le domeniche andavamo a pranzo al ristorante. We use passato prossimo for single actions. For example, lo scorso fine settimana sono andata a Venezia. But we use it also if we want to express a duration. For example, ho perso 10 kg in un anno. Ho finito i compiti in un'ora. Let's see a sentence using both imperfetto and passato prossimo. Tutte le estati Sergio era in un qualche posto esotico. Nel 2017 è stato in Madagascar. Let's talk about the verb volere, to want. Usually with the verb volere we use imperfetto. Volevo una cucina nuova e l'ho comprata all'IKEA. Volevo un maglione blu ma l'ho trovato solo rosso. But if you want to say that you wanted to do something, the correct form wants passato prossimo. Ho voluto provare questo ristorante. Ho voluto chiamare Maria per chiarire la situazione. Now let's talk about emotions. Usually we use imperfetto. Ero felice che andasse tutto bene. Marica era stanca e non è andata alla festa. But usually if we specify when we felt like that, we use passato prossimo. Sono stata giù di morale tutto il giorno. Alla festa sono stata poco socievole. Let's see some examples using imperfetto and passato prossimo in the same sentence. Avevo voglia di fare una gita fuori porta e alla fine sono andata a San Marino. It's not easy to explain, but we can say that my decision to go to San Marino is shorter than my desire to do a trip. So the long action, the long event, my desire to do this trip wants imperfetto. My short decision to go to San Marino, as I said, is shorter and wants passato prossimo. I know, it's not so easy. You should learn to hear the sound of these verbs. If you read, for example, in a book or in a newspaper, some sentences that use these verbal forms, I suggest you to write them down and read them on a regular basis, because I think that the best solution, the best practice is this, is try to understand the correct sound. Rules are important, but sometimes they are not enough to understand every situation. Let's see one last example using both imperfetto and passato prossimo and the verb to be, essere. Era stanca di suo figlio ed è stata sul punto di dargli uno schiaffo. I hope that my many examples and the situations that I talked about helped you to understand a bit more this grammar subject. Please give me your feedback. This is my real first grammar video, and so I would like to know if it has been helpful, if it's been a good video for you or not, and if not, please tell me what you would like to see in my future videos. This would be very helpful for me. And last thing, esercizio, exercise. Write me in the comments 1 or 2 phrases using imperfetto and or passato prossimo, and I will read and correct your sentence. Grazie per aver guardato il mio video, un bacio e alla prossima, ciao!